So you guys remember Josh Wingrove? He was the drummer in the music video that we did, the Freebird music video that we did with Exhorter.
Sounds like this if you haven't heard it.
Or another song from Exhorter that he was also the drummer in.
Sounds like this.
Respect is my currency. If you ain't got nothing, don't talk to me. Yeah.
Or the couple reactions he's been on, something like this.
Yeah.
So
and they were stuck there. They tried to get out. Like her husband came and tried to pull him out and everything, and
what?
just totally like yanked the car and scratched it up against the log. And the whole time we're like, we're just trying to shoot a video, man.
Oh.
Anyway,
he's a good friend of ours. He's a really good friend of ours. I've known him in the community. Big time drummer, basically like the best drummer in the state of Wyoming as far as I'm concerned. Really, really deep into the music community here. Super good dude. Really, really awesome person to have around. He was involved in a horrible car accident over the last, I think it was this last weekend. In order to help him recoup some of the medical bills that he's going to be facing in the near future, we decided that we're going to help him promote his Venmo and his Cashapp on the channel, just because we want to reach out in any way that we can to help him with this, because we love him dearly, and we know what he's about to be up against. And we have dropped his information into the comment section, or into our description. It's one of the first things you'll see down there. It's his Venmo, his Cash App. They're the same thing, so either one works for if you want to send him any money or help him out or anything like that. We understand money's tight. We're not asking you to do this as a requirement. We're just saying if you'd like to help out our friend, he would greatly appreciate it. And we just...
Yeah, and the big thing is like, number one, he is one of like the nicest dudes you ever meet.
Oh,
one
dude.
of the hardest working individuals.
Yeah.
And he's also got a kid.
Yep.
And he now has a broken neck and a back and
broken neck,
kidneys,
yep.
and liver. I mean, he's
got all sorts of shit.
He's in rough shape.
He's very lucky to be here, honestly, after what happened. If we can find a photo of the vehicle, maybe we should throw that in as well, because it's pretty tragic. So
basically rolled 7 times at 80 miles an hour.
Yep.
It was pretty wild.
Yep. So
but yeah, I can't imagine being in his shoes wondering, like, yeah, number one, I got to take care of myself, but I also have a kid that I have to take care of in the process of all of this, and it's very scary. He works oil field, which he won't be able to do for a long time.
Yep.
And who knows if he'll ever be able to drum the way that he has. With these type of injuries, you just never know.
Yeah, it's going
to be a long road.
Long road to recovery ahead of him, and we're just here to help him out any way that we can. And if you guys want to join us in that journey or join us in that fight, we would love the help. Information is in the description below. Just wanted to get that out before we start these episodes. We appreciate the hell out of you guys being here. And if you want any more information, our Instagram handles are in the description as well. We're more than welcome, or more than happy to talk to you about what's going on, things like that. So,
and don't donate to our PayPal.
No.
Donate directly to him.
We have his actual Cash App and Venmo there. That's the one you want, and you'll see it right down in there. So thank you guys for being here, and with that, let's get on with the episode, shall we?
Get to the video.
All right. All right, let's get into it, yeah?
Yeah.
See, my second snaps are always so much better than my it's like I get the warm-ups out of the way, and then we're good to go. I don't know what it is. I don't know. 307 Reacts. I'm Matt. That's Chris.
Yo.
This guy, you saw him yesterday. You're going to see him again today, and I don't know if he's sticking around for the other two or what's going on. Or we'll see where we end up at the end of this thing. But, this is Jose. He's Chris's coworker.
He is.
What do you wrenching? You guys call it wrenching?
Yeah.
Is that a thing? Yeah?
Ripping our dicks
These
off.
are the guys fixing your cars. So if you have any automotive questions, now is the perfect time to just flood the comment section with all of your...
We work at Dairy Queen.
With all of your questions. Also, Chris's Instagram is in the description, so you can just send him all of your automotive, send him all the videos, the noises, like all the random.
And he'll do it for free.
And he'll give you all the discounts,
do it for free.
All the discounts.
Is that what I heard?
Jose's going to hang out and watch a couple episodes with us. On the screen in front of us, it is the Limping Lady. It's the fat electrician, our boy Nick.
This was highly requested from you guys in the comments.
Is it really? Okay,
yes.
So this one's the deadly spy of World War II, Virginia Hall, and I guess that's her name, Virginia Hall, must be. Okay, I forgot to mention all of our introductory stuff. Thank you guys for sitting through our introduction. Josh's Venmo and Cash App is in our description if you'd like to contribute. We're going to run that promo for like another week or so, and then we're going to move on to another promo of this new brain that we got for the studio, Doobie Help Me Build a Computer. There's an episode of it over on Patreon already if you want to check that out. again, description is where you need to be. So yeah, it's a little disorganized. I don't have a list, dude. So I'm just kind of winging it over here. Oh yeah, it might sound a little different too. I don't know if eagle-eyed listeners or whatever, however you say it. Yeah, eagle-eared listeners. We are actually recording everything through OBS now. We're trying.
We're trying it out.
And I know our history with OBS is like everything says this is probably a bad idea, but I figure if everything's in one spot, it's easier to press one button than have to press multiple buttons in different applications. So we're going to give it a go. That's why it sounds a little bit different. Let us know how it sounds in the comments. Shall we?
Let's get it.
Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for being here. Let's go.
I don't have a daughter, but if I did, this is who I would want her to look up to.
Hell yeah, dude.
Today we're talking about Virginia Hall, aka the Limping Lady, probably the most effective American spy of World War II, and she managed to do that with one leg. But first, a word from our sponsors. This video is brought to you by Ridge Wallet. If you've been on the internet in the last decade, you know what Ridge Wallet is. I'm not going to waste your time. Ridge hired me to tell you to buy your dad a Ridge Wallet for Christmas. If your dad's anything like mine, his wallet probably looks like a Gutenberg Bible and his back hurts, and nobody has ever pointed out to this poor guy that, maybe your back hurts because every time you sit down, you've got a phone book underneath one butt cheek and you look like you're the Leaning Tower of Pisa inside of a chair. So head over to ridge.com/TFE and shop the holiday sale. You're going to save up to 30%, and when you use my link, you're also going to be automatically enrolled in a chance to win a $4,000 bundle from Ridge. Let's get back to the video.
Wow.
All right, Virginia Hall, born in 1906 in Baltimore. She grew up in a really wealthy family and was a complete tomboy the entire time, and her father absolutely loved it. He taught her how to hunt, and he completely endorsed her being not very ladylike all of the time. In addition to being a tomboy, she was also highly intelligent, graduating from high school with ease and getting accepted into the top female colleges in the country. Her mother, on the other hand, had different plans because immediately after high school, she expected Virginia to get married to a young man from another wealthy family in the area so they could combine their family businesses. So she gets engaged to this guy at 18 years old. Fast forward 1 year, she's 19 years old, and she keeps catching her fiance cheating on her, so she calls off the engagement and runs off to college despite her mother's wishes. She immediately attends the top 2 female colleges in the country, Radcliffe and Barnard, which are the equivalent of Harvard and Columbia. She studies economics and foreign languages, deciding that she wants to become an American diplomat. She wants to live in an embassy and represent the United States of America. However, this is the 1920s, and the odds of a female landing that job are slim to none, but she wants to maximize her chances, so she learns as many foreign languages as possible. She becomes fluent in German, Italian, and French, and finishes college abroad, studying in Germany, France, and Austria. While finishing college in Europe in the late 1920s, she would bear witness to the birth of fascism and the rise of the Nazi Party, and have a better understanding of how dangerous that ideology was than 99% of Americans. She would return home in 1929. A few months after that, the stock market would crash, the Great Depression would start, and her father, a wealthy business owner, would lose almost everything, and the increased stress would lead to him having a heart attack and dying. This made Virginia even more determined to accomplish her goal of becoming an American diplomat, so she got a job working for the U.S. Embassy in Poland as a secretary. She worked there for several years, and every year she would apply for a promotion to become a U.S. diplomat, and every year something went wrong. The first year, they lost her application. The second year, her application made it through because she delivered it herself, and she was a shoo-in. She could speak 4 languages, she was a college graduate, she was highly intelligent, well-spoken, so she passed the application portion of the hiring process and had to have an in-person interview, and conveniently, they accidentally told her the wrong place and the wrong time to be, so she got disqualified again. Realizing that that embassy had it out for her and was not about to let a woman become a diplomat, she transferred to a different embassy in Turkey. So now it's 1933, she's living in Turkey, she's working as a receptionist at the embassy still, and she's just waiting for that next opportunity to apply to become a diplomat. One of her hobbies at this point in time is to go out hunting with the shotgun that her father had bought for her when she was a kid. It's an irregular hobby for a woman, but Virginia's an irregular type of woman. So she goes out hunting with her friends one day, and they're hunting for snipes, which if you don't know is this little tiny bird. Apparently they're really hard to hit, and this is where the term sniper comes from. Regardless, at one point she has to hop over a fence. She forgot to turn the safety on her shotgun and accidentally blew her own foot off. Luckily her friends were there, and they managed to pick her up, get her to the hospital in time to save her life. While she's in the hospital recovering, she would end up getting gangrene, which is a very serious type of infection, especially back then in the 1930s, because antibiotics weren't going to be widely used or available for another decade. And I mean, the doctors back then are basically just grunts with scalpels, so they come over to Virginia, they're like, hey, here's the deal, you're going to die, there's one chance that we can save you. Basically, my medical opinion is your leg is pissed off and it's trying to kill you. My strategy is I'm going to kill it first. I'm going to cut it off and throw it away. So that's what they do. She gets amputated from the knee down. Later in her life, she would admit that while she was recovering in the hospital, her father had come to her in a dream and told her that she had to get through this because she had important work to do. So that's what she does. She makes a full recovery, gets a wooden prosthetic, learns how to walk again, and goes right back to trying to be an American diplomat. However, you got to remember, she's a complete tomboy, and what's the first thing a dude does when he gets a new car, a new set of wheels, a new gun? He always gives it a name, right? Right. Virginia named her wooden leg Cuthbert. So she goes back to work and continues trying to become a diplomat. However, now they have a legitimate reason to not let her become one. They don't need to lose her application. They don't need to give her the wrong dates and the wrong times anymore, because apparently there was a pre-established rule that amputees were not allowed to become diplomats. Why? I have no idea, but it turns out that Virginia has now both literally and figuratively shot herself in the foot. Virginia being the badass.
Equality was real loose back in the day, wasn't it? Like, god damn, dude. Like, oh yeah, you got a chopped off leg. You aren't gonna. I'm
not sure you can sit in a chair and talk to people. That's fucking crazy.
I don't think there's a spot up here for you. Like, wait, what? God damn, dude. Like, that's some harsh regulations right there, man. Yeah. And what a random thing to have. Just like, actually, you know what? It's right here in the rule book that just says you can't now. Sorry, dude. Like, I guess we're good here. Dude, what the fuck?
Jose, have you ever heard, or have you ever watched this guy's videos?
Never. This is the first video.
Yeah. What do you think so far?
Good. I like how he's just keeping it, like, simple, but he's going through it fast.
Yeah. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I would love to see, I would have loved to have him as a history teacher.
I was going to say, I wish he was my teacher, dude.
Yeah.
I feel like I would have learned so much more by the way that he explains things.
Yeah.
He's so much more relative, and I like the examples. A lot of times he'll use comparisons. Like, he'll explain something that happened in history, and then he'll make an example. He's like, for example, if you took this, that, and the other and puts it into perspective, modern day terms or sizes or whatever the case may be, and oftentimes on the other end of that, I'm like, yeah, dude, wow. Like,
I feel like Mr. Ewing's was the closest we ever had to him. Now, I know your experience was maybe a little different with Mr. Ewing's than what mine was, but I had a teacher. He actually, so I had this history teacher. I took honors history when I was in high school, and he was a super cool dude. He was ex-military. He would tell us stories from when he was like overseas and stuff. And he was like, okay, listen, here's all the crap they want me to teach you from this book. We're going to get through this as quickly as possible. Make sure you pass your test. Make sure you're here for your test. And then after that, I have this other thing I've been working on. And it's still relevant. It's still history. It's still, but you know, at that point we get to like play games and do projects and like that type of thing. And he was super, super cool. Like, as long as you got your shit done, whatever. But he's always dealt with like that post-traumatic stress disorder and stuff from being in the military. And he actually went missing up in the mountains here, like, what was it, 2-3 years ago?
Yeah, it was like 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, shit. He was just like missing for a while. And then he came back. And everybody was like, dude, like, where the fuck were you? He was like, oh, I was just needed to get away.
Okay.
People were like, all right.
I mean,
cool, man.
dude, you do you, man. Like, I guess.
He was a dope teacher.
Hell yeah,
I really
dude.
liked him.
Yeah, I wish, like, everything that we've watched, I always learn something. I always have something to take away after we watch a video of his, man. He's just very good teacher. Does a very good job of it. Shall we?
Let's get it.
Shot herself in the foot. Virginia, being the badass that she is, though, isn't about to take no for an answer, so she begins lobbying to have the rules changed altogether. She doesn't have much success. Fast forward 1940, Germany invades France, and Virginia is like, fuck it, I'm gonna go be an ambulance driver and help out the French because I hate Nazis. And that's exactly what she does. Virginia, a 35-year-old woman that was physically unfit to be an American diplomat where she would have to sit in an office and talk to people, is now on her way to France to be an ambulance driver in an active war zone. So she's an ambulance driver all throughout the Battle of Paris, and she is one of, if not the first Americans to actually stand up and fight against the Nazis. After France falls, she has to flee, so she hops on a train and makes her way over to Spain. While she's at the train station, she meets a British intel officer, and she tells him her story. This guy is so impressed that he's like, hey, take this phone number, call my friend. He can probably help find you a job over in England if that's where you want to go. So she calls the number looking for a job, and that number puts her in contact with a man by the name of Nicholas Boddington, one of the head guys of the newly formed British SOE. SOE standing for Special Operations Executive, which is just the new spin-off of Great Britain's Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, aka their equivalent of the CIA. So she talks to them, and they pretty much immediately want her to be a spy. She speaks German, she speaks French, she's lived in France, she understands the culture, and most importantly of all, she's an American. And this is important because that means she can use her actual American identity and all her real documentation to give to the Germans to get into France, posing as a journalist. Virginia immediately agrees and goes into training for the next 6 months, learning everything there is to know about espionage, or at least as much as she can in that amount of time. Fast forward 6 months later, mid-1941, Virginia Hall, the spy, gets dropped off in Vichy, France. Which, if you don't know, at this point in time, France is split in two. There's occupied France, and then there's unoccupied France, also referred to as Vichy France. Now, Vichy France is technically, supposedly free, but pretty much everybody knows that it's a puppet state for the Nazis at this point. And Hall's job is to go in there, posing as a journalist for the New York Post, build a spy network, and do anything she can to fuck with the Nazis. Okay, and just so we're all on the same page, this isn't like the movies where she has like instructions to go meet with some guy that's her connection and she like integrates with this already existing spy network. No, she was the first spy to go in. She had to go in and build the network from scratch. They literally took Hall, a 35-year-old woman with a wooden leg, gave her some money and some cyanide pills in case she got caught, sent her into enemy-held territory and was like, fucking figure it out. So Hall shows up in Lyon, France, and she doesn't even have anywhere to stay. All the hotel rooms are full, all the houses are rented. So many people have been displaced from the war, there's nowhere for her to stay. So when she first gets to France, she ends up living with a bunch of nuns at first. And she like had a curfew, the whole 9 yards. Then after a couple weeks, she finally gets a hotel room, and that's where she sets up her headquarters and makes her first contact. She goes straight to the U.S. Embassy and tries to get their help. And the head of the U.S. Embassy is like, absolutely not. America's neutral. We want nothing to do with it. But the second in command of the American Embassy pulls her aside and he's like, yes, I'm willing to help. And this is really important because this is the only way she's going to be able to communicate with London. You see, because it's an embassy, they have a diplomatic bag. So it's going to be mail that's not being screened by the Nazis before it goes out. So if this guy's willing to slip her messages to London into the diplomatic bag, it's going to be the only way that she's going to be able to get communication outside of France. So she gets it done. She establishes a connection. She now has a way to communicate with the outside world. On to the next order of business. Go see the gynecologist. Not for her, for the Nazis. You see, she has a two-pronged attack method that she's going to use to wreak havoc on the German ranks. Step A, recruit a gynecologist. Step B, recruit a brothel owner. All right, so here's the plan. She gets this gynecologist to start working with her by the name of Jean Rosette, and then she gets this brothel owner by the name of Germaine Guerin to start working with her. And the plan she works out is the brothel owner is going to send all of his employees to this particular gynecologist, and he's going to sort out the ones that do not have STDs and the ones that do have STDs, and he's not going to treat them, but he's going to give them a clean bill of health, and then the brothel owner is only going to let those ones sleep with the Nazis.
Damn,
so already
dude.
Hull is establishing himself as a
It's a biological warfare. That's like biological warfare, right? Like, I'm pretty sure. Something in the art of war about that, but I'm pretty sure that's biological warfare.
Oh, shit.
Damn, dude, that's
rough.
That's sinister, bro.
Yeah.
That's like, here's an idea. Like, who even comes up with that, bro? Like, that's
fucking genius.
Damn, dude. I mean, yeah, you want to figure out a way to slowly start. I mean, that thing is going on back in the day, so it's like, well, here's a way to...
Especially with, like, so, I mean, God, that still happens. I mean, you could talk to military service members and be like, yeah, dude, fucking Hooters, right outside of base, that's a happening place.
Oh, yeah.
Just so you know.
Yeah. That's it's a good spot.
Where's our military service members at? Let us know down in the comments.
Yeah. Chime in.
Diabolical mastermind. I mean, she's conducting biological warfare, weapons of mass destruction, if you will. All the other spies are out here worried about intercepting mail and sending secret messages, and she's over here destroying the German ranks from the inside out and making them enjoy it while she does it. And the scary part is she's just getting warmed up. You see, now she starts sending messages back to London through that diplomatic bag, asking for supply drops in the countryside, and she gets them. They're dropping off guns, explosives, and she's turning around giving that to these guerrilla fighters that are just doing anything they can to fight the Germans, and she's also getting money to bribe officials and heroin. Yeah, the second prong of her prostitute attack on the German ranks is that after the employees have already given the Germans an STD, they are then also going to attempt to get them addicted to heroin. I mean, the
Wow.
Germans get all this credit for developing their brilliant blitzkrieg tactic during World War II, which translates to lightning war. I'm going to go ahead with whatever authority I have, and I'm going to dub this the brothel krieg tactic in honor of Virginia Hall, because this is brilliant. So this keeps going for months and months, and she develops more and more connections and builds this enormous spy network that is officially given the code name Heckler. And every month, more and more spies are coming in, and she's helping them get set up. And these new spies know how to send wireless transmissions. So now there's other ways of getting messages outside of France. But the problem is these wireless transmissions can get tracked by the Nazis, and a lot of these new spies are getting caught that way. So then fast forward October 1941, all the other spies, there's like 12 other ones in the area right now, and they decide they're going to have a big meeting. Basically, they're coming up with an excuse to get together and have a party and actually talk about all the cool stuff they've been doing, which is a huge mistake for a spy. So Virginia avoids it. Sure enough, all 12 spies get busted and captured, and this was known as the Marseille Mousetrap, where the German Gestapo captured 12 spies all at once. They captured all the wireless operators, and again, Virginia is basically the only spy on the ground, and she is the only spy still capable of getting a message out to London. So she sends a message out to London basically saying that everybody else has been captured, nobody else is going to be able to communicate except for her. In addition to that, the German Gestapo also now know what she looks like and have drawings of her, and they know that she walks with a limp, and they're starting to call her the Limping Lady. So she is effectively number one on the Gestapo's most wanted list. And leading the Gestapo in Lyon at this point in time is Klaus Barbie, one of the most brutal Nazis of World War II. And he is quoted as saying, "I would do anything to find that limping Canadian bitch," end quote. He believed that she had to be Canadian. That's pretty good. Because he didn't think any American could speak French so fluently.
Bonjour.
Fair.
London then responds by saying, "Hey, that's terrible, A, but also go ahead and flee, get out of the country, they're gonna find you. They know what you look like, they know that you walk with a limp, and every time you take a step with your hollow wooden leg, there is a distinct wood noise.
Yeah, no shit.
They're gonna catch you." Obviously, I'm paraphrasing, but to this, Virginia basically said, "Hold my leg and watch this shit." Rather than flee, she decides that she's going to orchestrate a jailbreak of the other 12 spies that have been captured. But she's playing it on hardcore mode because the Germans know that they're looking for the Limping Lady, and every time she takes a step with her hollow wooden leg, it makes a wood noise. And then her plot armor activates and divine intervention kicks in because supplies into France are so low and so scarce that they're no longer getting rubber and leather to make shoes out of anymore, and people have to start carving their shoes out of wood, and all of a sudden everybody's walking around making wood noises, completely disguising her movements. So rather than fleeing the country, she tracks down the prison that 12 spies are being held at, then finds somebody that works at the prison, convinces them to get her a roster of the prisoners, uses that to track down a different, completely unrelated prisoner's wife on the outside, befriend her, and convince her to help her. Virginia, not wanting to be seen herself because they know what she looks like, decides that she's going to have this other prisoner's wife start smuggling in supplies to the 12 spies and, by extent, this woman's husband. Like they're baking handcuff keys and screwdrivers into cakes and shit to smuggle these supplies in. This goes so well that she decides she's really going to start showing off. She's going to try to smuggle in an entire wireless set into the prisoners. And the wireless set is like the size of a briefcase. So she gets a 70-year-old priest that's a double amputee from World War I to smuggle this briefcase in by sitting on it in his wheelchair, and he ends up giving it to the other spies that actually know how to use the equipment. Here's the thing, the spies on the inside needed a really big antenna to make this thing work, so they ran a wire from their cell into this like wireless setup outside across the yard and attached it to the boundary fence using the entire fence as an antenna, and somehow never got caught. So now the spies are transmitting messages from inside the prison directly to London. So fast forward like a month, Virginia has smuggled these guys everything they need to be able to break out from the inside, and once they get outside the boundary fence, she is going to be there to pick them up, get them to a safe house, and smuggle them out of the country. Everything is completely arranged. Then on the day of the jailbreak, Virginia makes sure that somebody else tries to smuggle in a bunch of booze to the prisoners, knowing that they would get caught and that the guards would end up drinking all the alcohol that night, making it easier for the spies to slip away. Which is exactly what happens that night. All the guards are drinking, partying, having a good time, and while that's going on, the spies are utilizing the handcuff keys and all the tools Virginia smuggled in to escape. They run across the yard under the cover of night, scale the perimeter fence, and waiting there is Virginia, who immediately takes them to a safe house. They hide for 2 weeks straight while the entire Gestapo is searching everywhere for them, and then she smuggles them out of the country. Okay, fast forward a month. It's November 1942. She just staged that huge jailbreak. All the Germans are looking for her, and now the Gestapo has brought in an additional 500 men, all with the sole purpose of finding the limping lady. It is at this moment Virginia decides...
There's always this point in these videos where I'm just sitting here like, how is it possible? Dude, there's so many like once in a lifetime things that happen in these stories. Like, how am I gonna get inside of this base because they know who they're looking for and my leg makes a sound? Oh, everyone's making their shoes out of wood all of a sudden because supplies are limited, and so I'm good. Like just happenstance that cool happens to be the same. Great, that worked out. Like just the universe just went, gotcha, bro. Gotcha. And like what?
It's crazy to me how there hasn't been a movie made of this. And then like some of these things, it's like
to be able to smuggle in an entire wireless system into the jail.
Yeah.
And then not only smuggle it in, set it up, run a wire. Use the fence as an antenna.
Get caught using
dude, you're not getting caught.
You have a briefcase hidden in yourself.
Yeah, dude. I don't.
And then it's crazy.
And then you have this crazy plan. Well, I wonder, like, what if I sent someone in with a bunch of booze as a decoy?
Yeah.
Would the guards keep the booze and drink it that night?
Like, of course they are.
Well, it's 1942 or whatever, so yeah probably.
Yeah.
And sure as shit, dude, it just works. Like, and then the dudes can just. I'm just going to take this off. All right, guys, let's get out of here.
Yeah.
Let's just run across here because it's dark. And, it's, again, 1940. So there's no cameras.
Just blasted.
The dudes are wasted. So no one's watching the yard.
Yeah.
There's probably no, like...
Sirens back then, they had to crank them.
And I don't know if razor wire probably, like, didn't exist, right? Or maybe a version of it.
It did, but as far as I know, they mainly used it to try to... Well, I think it was used later in World War II. They would use it to tangle up inside of tank tracks to keep them from moving.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So
probably not.
They didn't really see it as a preventative measure to keep people from getting out.
It's probably just like a taller fence.
Yeah.
In a yard,
Yeah.
And they're just like, cool, over the fence we go. Now we just hide out. We just chill for 2 weeks and wait.
It might have even been like a wooden fence.
True.
Then.
Oh yeah. I guess it could have been, huh?
It could have been chain link, but I highly doubt it.
Probably was wooden. You're probably right. Shit, everything was wooden back then. You probably was a wooden fence, dude.
Wooden fence, dude.
And then she's like, I'm right, cool. So I got you out of prison, and now we're gonna get you out of the country.
Yeah.
So off we go.
Soldiers are drunk.
Like,
just
what the
filled full of syphilis.
There's so many like that shouldn't have worked moments in these stories. Like, oh my god, dude. All right.
They're looking for, and now the Gestapo has brought in an additional 500 men, all with the sole purpose of finding the limping lady. It is at this moment Virginia decides it's probably time to leave.
Yeah.
But with 500 new Gestapo all looking for a woman with a limp, she can't take any of the normal ways out of the country, so the only method she has to escape is to take the Pyrenees Freedom Trail, a 50-mile hike through the Pyrenees Mountains to cross the border between France and Spain. And she has to do it in November, in the coldest winter for France in over 200 years. It's a 3 to 4 day hiking trail for people doing it for fun, not in the middle of winter, and Virginia manages to do it in 2 days with a wooden leg. During her hike, she was communicating with London via radio, not like secret spy radio, just normal radio transmissions. It wasn't going to blow her cover. She was already blown and she was leaving anyways, so it didn't really matter. And she would tell London that Cuthbert was giving her issues because I'm sure, as you can imagine, hiking with a wooden leg would get pretty tiresome after a while.
Would appear so, wouldn't it?
To which London, not knowing who Cuthbert was, responded by saying, if Cuthbert is giving you problems, have him eliminated.
Huh?
Take him out.
Take him out.
So she crosses the border into Spain after 2 days, complete badass. She has escaped the Nazis, and 48 hours after she leaves Lyon, her entire hotel room gets ransacked because the Germans finally figured out who she was, and she had escaped just in the nick of time. And then she promptly gets arrested by Spanish authorities for illegal immigration. So then she has to get a message out to London, out to America. They finally come, bail her out. She goes back to London working with the SOE, and she's like, okay, well, cool, send me back in. And they're like, no, your cover's blown. You've done all you're going to do. That's it for you. We're not going to let you do anything else as far as like actively working undercover goes. Again, I'm paraphrasing, but Virginia Hall basically says, okay, well, peace out, nerds. I'm going to go work with the Americans. She goes over to America, goes to the OSS, the direct predecessor of the CIA, and is like, hey, I'm more experienced than any spy you guys have. Put me in, coach. To which the OSS is like, sure, why not? And they give her a shot. This time, Virginia makes sure that she takes a wireless transmitting class, though, so now she can also send the wireless transmitting signals.
There you go.
She doesn't want to be the only spy not able to, like last time. So she does that. She then realizes that she's going to have to pretend to be a much older woman. This would help disguise her limp, and it would help change her face so that they didn't know what she looked like anymore. So she goes to a professional Hollywood makeup artist, learns how to do makeup to look like a really old woman, and then she goes to a dentist in London that grinds all her teeth down so she looks like she has terrible teeth, like a French peasant would. The OSS then sneaks her...
Not
dedication,
doesn't go to Hollywood to get her makeup done or to get a mask made or something like that.
Yeah.
Goes to Hollywood to learn how to do her own makeup so she can just put it on, take it off when she needs to, dude. That is crazy. And then goes and gets her teeth grinded down, like...
God. And you know, back then, they might have been numb and stuff, but it probably wasn't great.
Yeah, it probably wasn't great. It's not great now, dude.
God, dude, when your teeth, like, you know how there's, like, some forks, like, really, really worn forks, they'll have, like the actual prongs aren't very smooth anymore. They have, like, little notches on them, and you scrape your tooth on one of those. I fucking hate that. And then this bitch in there, like, just fucking take a whizzy wheel to it, dude.
Yeah, how do you even go in and ask for that? Like, just mess my teeth up real quick, you know? Like,
just mess my teeth up.
I've had a lot of dental work in my life, dude. Like, been through braces, I've had headgear for a while, retainer, like the whole. I fucking went through a lot of shit. Yeah. And, dude, getting some of that work done was like, I wouldn't wish that shit on my worst enemy, dude. Yeah. Like, some of the things they do in there, and like especially when it comes to scraping, grinding, that kind of thing. Oh my god, dude! You hear them little machines start. You're like, no, please no, please no, please no, please don't do that. Please don't do that to me. No. Yeah.
Dedication to the job.
Damn, dude, that is She is. She's a badass. That's for sure. Yeah.
Down, so she looks like she has terrible teeth, like a French peasant would. The OSS then sneaks her back into France on a PT boat and drops her off completely by herself again. And from there, she just starts doing it all over again. She develops a huge spy network again. This time, she's posing as an elderly milkmaid by day and a spy master by night. At this point in time, the French resistance had all kinds of guerrilla fighters, but they were basically just running around blowing shit up, being as big of a nuisance as they possibly could, and weren't being strategic about it at all. So over the course of the next year and a half, Virginia set out to establish a chain of command and actually get them to work together and coordinate attacks and efforts. By 1944, she had amassed an entire army. She had 3 battalions, 1,500 guerrilla fighters that she was coordinating attacks against the Germans with from the inside, all while transmitting signals to the Americans to have them drop off supplies like guns and explosives to continue fighting with. She would then be notified that in June of 1944, D-Day was going to happen, and in the weeks leading up to it, she used her guerrilla army to coordinate and sabotage major highways, railroads, communication lines, and bridges, preventing the Germans from reinforcing the right beaches in a timely fashion, potentially changing the entire course of D-Day. And somewhere around this time frame, the OSS would send in a reinforcement to help Virginia out, a young Polish operative by the name of Paul Giat. He parachuted into theater, too late to have any real influence on the operation, but him and Virginia would end up falling in love. After the war, they would both move back home to America, where Paul would get his citizenship, and they would both begin their careers working for the newly found CIA. They would then go on to lead a specialized task force monitoring communism in the Eastern Bloc of Europe. Yeah, this incredible story literally ends with 2 spies falling in love and going out on missions together. In 1945, President Truman wanted to give Virginia the Distinguished Service Cross, the highest honor a civilian could receive, because technically spies weren't in the military, so they're ineligible for the Medal of Honor. But President Truman wanted to give this to her in a humongous ceremony, tell her story, and make her basically an international hero and celebrity. Virginia, however, declined that offer because she didn't want her cover blown. She still wanted to be operational and capable of helping the United States and the world if she was needed. She became the only female civilian of World War II to be awarded the Distinguished Service Cross, and was awarded to her by General William Donovan, and by her own request, it was awarded in front of only one witness, her mom. Her future husband and fiance, Paul, wasn't there because she didn't think her mother would approve. This woman was behind enemy lines fighting against the Nazis for all of World War II. The entire thing, longer than probably any other American, and she's still scared of the opinions of Mom. And that's it. Virginia and Paul would live happily ever after. They retired at 60 years old, and Virginia would pass away at the age of 76 in 1982. And nobody knew anything about this until they read her obituary. She never gave an interview. She never wrote a memoir. She never said a single thing. And later in life, when she was asked why she never talked about it, she said, and I quote, "Too many of my friends died for talking too much." Which I think we can all agree is gangster as fuck. So, in conclusion, this is a story of Virginia Hall, the deadliest spy of World War II. Thank you for watching. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch.
Damn, dude.
Electrician.com. Quack bang out. The fact that people know and care more about Kim Kardashian over Virginia Hall is going to piss me off probably for the rest of forever.
It's going to piss me off probably for the rest of forever. Boy, I was thinking about it. It has got to be a hard sell, first of all, to just start a spy ring, right? Just to start one.
Yeah.
When you're young, right?
Yeah.
Just to sell that to the first guy without sounding completely psychopathic, right?
Yeah.
Like, so you're not going to believe this, but I got to tell you something, you know?
Yeah.
And then to get him on board as well, first to find out that he's a spy or whatever his background is, and then to get him on board. It's crazy enough to do that when you're young. Then to come back around again and do it again posing as this old lady who's got these fucked up teeth.
You know what? Here's the fair thing. Okay, if an older person came up to me and said, "Hey, I'm working on something. I need your help,"
you would
be. I would be more inclined to listen.
To be like, it's probably legit.
Jose come up to me. He goes, "Hey, bro, listen."
You like, get that goddamn Subaru motor away from me, Jose.
I need your help with something, okay? I need you to find the nearest brothel owner, set me up a meeting. I'd be like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about?
No.
Like,
no. Right, I put it like, imagine going to the gas station, there's a tweaker, like, listen up, like, hear me out real quick. Like, you know, I'd be like, get out of my face. You know what I'm saying?
He's like, dude, you gotta listen to me, right? Like, you're the only one that's gonna you gotta listen. You're just like, this is sus, dude. I don't know, man. I don't know. Yeah, and then like I said, to come back, like tweaker, a peasant. She was legitimately made up to look like a peasant.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, by all intents and purposes, no one's paying attention to those people, dude.
Hey, imagine being a guerrilla fighter. Some old milkmaid comes up to you. I can get you guns,
dude.
Like what?
And then to hear her history, like, oh yeah, I was the one that, remember that brothel back in the day where the Nazis were coming in and they were all catching diseases from the chick. Yeah, I started that. That was my idea. I got the guys together to make that happen. What?
It's fucking crazy.
No, you didn't. She's like, no shit. Yeah, that was me.
Yeah.
Like, what? The wooden leg lady, and she fucking lifts her pants. You're like, son of a bitch. Like, what?
Yeah, man.
And yeah, it's just all these, and of course, I ended the story that one part we were talking about where I was like, you have all these once in a lifetime things that happen, right? Yeah. And then he followed right after that with, she ends up going through the mountains in November, you know, and they just happen to get the worst snowstorm they've had in 200 years, and I'm like, well, it doesn't always go once in a lifetime. I guess technically that is still once in a lifetime. Yep. 200 years, you know.
Yep.
Sometimes it just goes the other way.
No, like her and Eugene Bullard was another crazy one. Like,
Cassius Clay.
Yeah,
dude.
Cassius Clay was cool.
Crazy ones, man. Some of the ones we've heard are just every time he's on the screen, every time we have him on here, it's just I'm always completely blown away by the end of the episode. Like, because he leads into these things, like talking about their life, and you hit a certain point and you're like, okay, all right, that's pretty wild, dude. Like, that's pretty crazy, and you think that that's going to be like the climax of the thing, and then he just keeps going and keeps going, and before you know it, you're like, no way, there's no way, dude, that's happened.
You know what I was thinking about, that hockey one that we just watched? Yeah, and then you saw how bad America kicked Canada's ass.
I didn't see it, but I've seen the
I have
Facebook
seen
updates.
Tons of like Instagram stuff. I was like, somebody's coach was looking back.
Had a little bit of Philly inspiration back there.
They had, what was it, 3 fights in the first 7 seconds of the fucking game or some shit like that.
This most recent one?
Yeah, this most recent one was kind of crazy. And those fights were good too.
America just beat the fuck out of them.
The coach was like, "Look, dude, look,
Great.
we're not here to play hockey tonight, boys. We all know what we're here to do. Okay,
Yeah.
get out there and give
They
me some
booed our
penalties.
national anthem.
Yeah.
Go show them what's up.
Get out there and give me some penalties, boys.
Yeah.
Let's see them."
That's
And
what I
then
do at
they
work.
did it. And then they did it.
Well, if you guys enjoyed this video as much as we did, be sure to leave a thumbs up, smash that subscribe
Ready?
button, click the bell, become part of the notification gang.
I tried everything I could. It didn't.
We'll see y'all next time. Bow.
I saw the fear in Jose's eyes.
The what?
I was like, "You ready?" He's all,
I was like, we're going.
"I'm not ready. I'm not ready."